Hello and thanks for staying on LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. My name is Mono Balagbobo. Today on the show, we'll talk about government efforts to secure food in Nigeria. And here's a rundown of some of our talking points. First, we'll look at federal government's grain distribution and the conundrum over Nigeria receiving grains from Ukraine, and talk about food smuggling across Nigerian borders. Of course, we'll have another conversation to talk about, which has to do with Edo 2024. Here is a rundown of some of our talking points. Alleged impeachment plot against Tribal. Idahosa's letter to INEC, APC's candidate. And of course, talk about the drama from all the political parties lingering post-party primary crisis. Joining the conversation today is Honorable Solomon Danjuma. He is the FCT Labour Party Presidential Campaign Coordinator. And also to talk with us on Edo State and give us update is a political analyst and reporter, Comrade Bobby Egbosa Obanyuwana, and he will be joining us later on the show. Well, let's kick things up with some updates in the world of politics, starting with the Labour Party chairman. Of course, the Court of Appeal in Abuja has affirmed Julius Abure as the chairman of the Labour Party. The appellate court also set aside the decision of the Federal Capital Territory High Court, which last year restrained Abure and two others from parading themselves as national officers of the party. In the judgment delivered by Justice Hama Bakar, the appellate court held that the High Court was wrong to have assumed jurisdiction on the matter. The appellate court also awarded a cost of 1 million naira in favor of Abure and against the respondent Lamidi Apapa. Justice Hamza Muazu of the Federal Capital Territory High Court had last year granted an expert order ordering that Abure and two other national officers stop parading themselves as leaders of the party for allegedly forging national documents, but the appellate court set the verdict aside. This is a big win for Abure, who has been faced with a lot of political struggles and tension in the party, with all the allegations that had to do, of course, with finances coming from campaign. Well, let's bring to your notice also that the Edo House of Assembly has begun moves to impeach the Deputy Governor, Mr. Philip Schweibel, and he has 7 days to respond, the House said. The Majority Leader, Charity Owobrajane, PDP Ovia Northeast 1, announced the impeachment notice and said a petition dated March 5th against Tribal was signed by 21 of the 24 members of the legislature. He added that the petition was based on perjury and the revelation of government secrets, and noted that the number of members who signed the petition was higher than two-thirds the constitutional requirement. The Speaker of the House of Assembly, Blessing Kaku, PDP Owan West, acknowledged the receipt of the petition. Well, this is not coming as a surprise because we have been following all the developments regarding Edo 2024, and we've got just the right person, our political analyst, Comrade Bobby, who will be filling us with all the developments regarding tensions post the primaries in the state. This is Politics Now. The show just got started. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll go straight to our first conversation, which has to do with food insecurity in Nigeria and what government is doing about it. Stay with us. Once again, thanks for being with us on Politics Now. Time to get straight to the conversation, talking about government's efforts to secure food in Nigeria. It is a big topic. We've seen inflation go up, and it is affecting the prices of goods and the availability of grains all across the country. We've always talked about the fact that as a nation, we continue to rely on imported goods, and this has plagued our economy, stifling local production and manufacturing industries. The Tinubu-led administration must implement policies to insensitize domestic production, to reduce import dependency, and create a conducive environment for businesses to thrive. This is very important. And recently, in the words of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, he's advised that Nigeria should approach the government of Zimbabwe for a blueprint to get solutions to the current all-time high inflation in the country. And of course, looking at the latest release of the Bureau of Statistics, it put Nigeria's inflation rate at about 29.9%. The country is currently grappling with high cost of living, with pockets of protest breaking out across the country as Nigerians continue to contend with the high prices of foodstuffs. Even recently, the IMF came out to tell Nigeria that Nigeria needs to address the issue of food insecurity. Now, I'll just read what they said. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, says addressing food insecurity should be an immediate priority for government. And the IMF said that in its end of mission statement issued after the completion of the IMF Staff 2024 article to Nigeria, a copy of which was obtained by the new agency of Nigeria, NAN, in Abuja, the statement said the new government inherited a difficult economic situation that is marked by low growth, low revenue collection, accelerating inflation, and external imbalances that is built up over the years. And it said the decision by the monetary policy to further tighten monetary policy would help to contain inflation and the pressures on the naira. Now, let's get to what the federal government, is doing regarding this issue. Now, in a bid to ensure food availability across the nation, the federal government has announced that the distribution of 42,000 metric tons of grains directed by President Bola Tinubu will commence across the 36 states of the Federation this week. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, reiterated this on Tuesday at the House of Assembly and said in addition to the grains, 58,500 metric tons of milled rice sourced from the mega rice millers will also be released into the market. Let's take a listen to what he said at plenary on Tuesday.
Case in point, COVID in 2020 had a great impact worldwide, not only to Nigeria, worldwide in terms of food production and food supply. And shortly thereafter, in 2021 and 2022, for those of us from the middle area of Nigeria and even in the northwest, we noticed a considerable rise in flooding activities around the riverbanks that has caused a lot of damage to our food production, especially during the rainy season. Then in addition, we also, in 2022, I would like to downplay that, but it was a fact that the policy of the Naira redesign had an impact on the local rural farmer who didn't have access to cash, and at the same time was under cultivation around the September, October, when they were harvesting their produce and they need to pay their farm hands, and cash was unavailable. And even way to the time of 2023, last year, February, March, when they were just about planning to have to plant for the 2023, both dry and wet season, cash was also not readily available. Have seen a lot of, I would say, smuggling of foodstuff outside of the country. That, in a sense, has also given reason to
All right, let's begin the conversation and have Honorable Solomon talk with us. Thank you so much for coming on Politics Now.
Thank you very much. It's good to have me on your show.
All right, the government is set to distribute 42,000 tons of grain. How impactful will this be in curbing the inavailability of food in the country, or we might as well call it food scarcity?
It will amount to nothing. It will be ineffective. Taking a stance from what happened during the COVID-19 lockdown, lots of palliatives were released to different states, even governments, to be distributed to the people. But how far did it go? It amounts to nothing. A lot of people that were in charge, we saw how they store this food to themselves, to the extent that this food were wasting, and some of the grains too went bad. I have seen similar thing happening, because these grains that the federal government have released to cushion the effect of this subsidy and the hardship in the country.
All right, now they have not started yet, just to put it out clear to our viewers. The minister said that they're going to begin distribution this week.
Palliatives, there are palliatives that have been released. This one that they want to release now, I guess, is the second phase. So the first phase that was given, I think state governments, when I read in the news, state governors each were given the sum of 5 billion naira, right? So that they will see how they will cushion the effects of this hardship. Then you're talking about the grains again that will be released. They have to really tell us the modalities that they intend to use, that this gets to every household. Because as it stands now, almost every household is hungry. The percentage of Nigerians that are not hungry are not up to 20%. Even though this is not a deep research that I've done, but averagely, in the gathering of 10, you will see that barely one person or two are able to afford 3 square meals a day. 3 square meals a day is a thing of the past now in this country, Nigeria. I overheard somebody yesterday in the news, in just an interview, saying that it's no hunger that is making people to loot all of these food items. Well, it's because he is not really living among the poor. Maybe he's somewhere living in a government facility, enjoying lots of benefits. That is the reason why he feels Nigerians are not suffering. But go to the streets, you see. How much is the salary that will be able to afford a bag of rice that is above 70,000 naira? Not talk about buying other ingredients that you will use to prepare the food. So giving grains, to me, in my opinion, to Nigeria to cushion this effect is not the real solution to the whole thing. Even though I already know the other questions you have for me, but I want to say giving out grain, taking antecedent from what has happened in the past, where federal government have come to say we are giving out grain palliative, we are giving out food to cushion the effect. The modalities they use in sharing all of these things have not been effective. You still see some group of persons carrying these food items to their houses. Some will even store it, not getting to the people that truly need it. However, how many grains would they be able to give to Nigerians, considering the population of Nigeria? Are they going to follow house by house? Are they going to follow people house by house? Or they are still going to give it to some government officials and they say you should share? And one thing that I've discovered that most of these government officials do when giving this palliative, they share it along party lines. They share it along party lines. For instance, a chairman of a local government would prefer to call his party members and share these palliatives to them. Then those who are not party members of their political party will be left out, they will be shut out to be in millions, because taking at the first one, taking a look at the first one of the grains, like where I stay in Buhari Area Council, that were sent here, I think a ward just got about just 10 bags of rice.
Honorable Solomon, one thing I want to say is you look at the population of Nigeria, we've got over 200 million people in the country, and federal government is distributing 42,000 metric tons of food items and all of that. Is it enough for the whole country? And one will want to validate the point of view of people who say this is not really good enough as a country. What are your thoughts on this?
It is not enough. Nation, a world that has a population of over 20,000 persons, getting just 10 bags of rice with few bags of grain of corn. That is not enough. That is just like a drop of water in an ocean.
Now, I want us to talk about the Minister of Information and National Orientation, which, of course, is part of our talking points, the conundrum over Nigeria receiving grains from Ukraine. The minister says that the fact that Nigeria accepted grains from Ukraine does not make Nigeria a weak or a failed state. He said Egypt gets about 60% of its grains from Ukraine. The fact that Egypt gets about 60% of its grain from Ukraine does not make it a failed thought. But before I come to you, we've got the soundbite of Peter Obi, criticizing the government, and then the Minister of Information trying to give, in a kind of respectful way, an explanation to some of government efforts in and addressing the issue of food security in Nigeria. Let's have a listen.
Ukraine is giving Nigeria grain. Ukraine is at war. The whole of northern Nigeria is 268,000 square kilometers. Ukraine is 603,000 square kilometers.
It may be true that Nigeria has accepted grains from Ukraine, but that is not on its own a very bad story. Egypt takes in about 60% of its grain production from Ukraine. And I know that our elder statesman here, Mr. Peter Obi, is also understanding the Egyptian economy. The fact that 60% of the grain production in Egypt is coming from Ukraine does not make Egypt a failed state. In addition, the revenues accruing to the three tiers of government, the federal, state, and local governments, have grown by between 50 and 100% since the removal of fuel subsidy. This means more funds are available to directly impact the lives of Nigerians through investments in critical infrastructure, social security, and other areas.
Honorable Solomon, you just watched that clip there of your presidential candidate at the 2023 elections, Peter Obi, and the Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Mohammed Idris. Are you of the same opinion of your principal? Can you let us in on your thoughts?
That even a country that is at war sending us food. Nigeria has virgin lands, as my principal say, and it is verifiable. He kept making emphasis with Niger State that has a very large uncultivated land, virgin lands that can be used for agriculture. He cited how Niger State is bigger than some countries. Our lands are not that bad that we cannot produce. Nigeria is one of the most blessed countries in the world, and other parts of this country testify. So in a situation whereby we cannot fend for ourselves until Ukraine provides us with grain, it is rather unfortunate. And how did we come about this? The insecurity eats deep into this country that farmers were unable to farm during rain season. A lot of farmers were kidnapped on their way to their farms or right there on their farmlands. Some were displaced from their ancestral lands and became refugees, like hosting them in IDP camps. This is uncalled for. It is a failed system. Nigeria, that seems to be the giant of Africa, do not have reserve, do not have food to give to her citizens, only depending on foreign aid to be able to provide for her citizens. I'm taking side with my principal, Peter Obi. It is shameful. And that's the reason why when we say you need to give the right people the job to do, a lot of people will bring sentiment into the whole thing. But we are telling people that the consequence of bad leadership do not affect just a set of tribe or religion. It affects everybody. And that is what is happening now. You can see the attacks. This is just the beginning. Even the security men that are meant to protect these properties that the masses are looting, they are giving way for the masses to cut away with all of these things. Why? Because they are also suffering the same thing.
Now, Honorable, if you recall, in July last year, the government declared a state of emergency on food security. The president ordered that all matters pertaining to food and water availability, will be included within the scope of the National Security Council. And you could recall vividly what Alake said. He said, we shall create and support a national commodity exchange board that will review and continuously assess food prices, as well as maintain the strategic food reserve that will be used as price stabilization mechanisms. Fast forward till this time, the government had, from July last year when they declared, a national emergency regarding the food situation in the country. But up till now, nothing has been done that is tangible to solve the problems. I wouldn't say government is not doing anything, but what are your thoughts? Having declared a state of emergency on this particular situation, and now we're acting all surprised.
You see, when you talked about this, Nigerians, we are good at paperwork. We have good policies, but implementation has always been the problem. We will do this, we will do this, we will do this. This is 8 months. This is 8 months since the assumed office. And it seems we are getting worse every day. Videos we are going around in the internet where some women in Kaduna were protesting that they boil hot water with salt and give to their children. People are dying. People are dying on a daily basis. We want to see the implementation of all of these policies. Enough of sitting down and say, we will do this, we will do this. Swing into action. That is what we want. These were contained in campaign promises that they are going to end insecurity, there are going to be lots of food supply. Even though I know this issue of food, provision of fertilizer, it will have to come to another farming season. It's not something that it will just happen overnight. But let us see all of these things happening. If you want to give farmers fertilizer, start rolling these fertilizers now. Because in some part of the country, there are signs of rain already, even though we know that looking at the rain season, we have not really entered the rain season. But climate change, it changes at any given time. You don't give farmers fertilizer when they have already cultivated. Give them, they can also store it in their own storehouses. Not at the time that they don't need it to start rolling out these fertilizers. This is the problem that we
Honorable, recall the Minister of Agriculture was at the National Assembly on Tuesday, and it talked about some of the efforts of government. And Kiara particularly stressed that the federal government in 2023 launched the dry season farming, stressing that the first phase was to plant wheat, while rice, maize, cassava would be planted in the second phase. And he explained the second phase was the cultivation rather of 150,000 hectares of land for rice farming. As beautiful as all of this sounds, the question is, where is it now that Nigerians need it the most? What's your reaction to this?
All these are God's projects. All these are God's projects. When you say that first phase was done, so and so were released, where? They should show us. See, I am close to the chairman of All Farmers Association of Nigeria here in FCT, the chairman of FCT. I know how they've been running here and there, meeting the ministries that are concerned, meeting the agencies that are concerned for support for farmers. And this support is not forthcoming. So when they say they are cultivating so hectares of land, who are those cultivating these hectares of land? Where the farmers are the one complaining that they are not seeing anything. Where? Where in FCT? Because I want to talk about my own domain now, FCT. Where is it happening? They should show us. If you have released funds for farmers, where? Show us. Give us the statistics. Tell us the numbers of farmers that have received it and where are they cultivating. You talk about the issue of anchor borrowers. That's how we heard of anchor borrower, but you keep asking who has benefited from it. You cannot bring out a reasonable number of persons to say they have benefited from it. So can we just stop all of these things? We are killing the country the more. We want to see these things practical. We want to see them visible. We want the right people to get the right things done. Every state has its own farmers association that has a full statistics and data of the farmers in that state, because they have chapters in the local government. They have chapters down to even the various words. So if you have anything to do with farmers, engage these people. These are the people that needs it more. Not some kind of person that in the office just throwing money here and there without necessarily getting to the end users. There are lands to be cultivated. Nigeria still have land. There is no state that do not have a reserved land that can be harnessed and be cultivated for agricultural purposes. But by the time we just say we have done this, you just go and flag up a project, say so amount of money have been released, give it time, you will not see the money, you will not see the project, and nobody is probing who. And it just go like that to another budgeting year, and you still release on that money for this, and yet you have not inspected, you have not checked the money that have been released for a particular purpose, and you are releasing on that money. So the need for accountability in this government, I'm expecting more. People have to be accountable for the funds that have been released. If you say the government is releasing funds, we want the people that this money have been given to them, let them be accountable for it. Let us see all of this in practically on ground. You cannot say you are dealing with farmers and then the real farmers that they know themselves, they group themselves and they mix themselves and not getting what the federal.
It's very important that government is accountable, talking about some of the initiatives, and this is something that we keep on talking about. Accountability is very, very important. But Honorable, I wanted to talk to you about a serious problem that we are having, which has to do with food smuggling across the border. Recently, the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs said the service commenced sale of items of foods that have been seized. We saw some of these trucks that were carrying truckloads of foods, and government seized them. He also added that the service has arrested, I think, about 120 trucks that have been smuggling foods from Nigeria to other countries, adding that the president has given a directive that the arrested trucks be diverted back to the local markets in the areas where they were arrested in order to force down the process of grains and other food items. What are your thoughts on these measures from government, and why do you think we are seeing this situation where people are trying to smuggle foods from our country to other countries? What are your thoughts on this?
Somebody used to say an African proverb, and it's in pidgin. Now, what is the cocoyam? What in they chop the cocoyam is inside the cocoyam. A lot of people are taking advantage of this season to make gains for themselves. At a time where there is food insecurity and we still see food in Nigeria being moved out of this country, it is unpatriotic. And if we trace it, you still see that people that are on the helm of affairs, power, are still responsible for this. Let me digress a little. I've also seen where masses attract trucks on the highway and loots food items, foodstuffs from them. I want to condemn that act sincerely, because some of these foodstuffs, some of this item looted, they belongs to someone's business. Someone may have invested high money into buying these foodstuffs for his own business purpose. Some might have taken loans to do this business. It could be me, it could be you, who is into food business, and then my truck, my goods is being attacked. Where do I start from? In as much as I know that there is hunger in the land, but the act of seizing every food items on the highway, I condemn it. And calling on the federal government at this junction to see the need, to see the desperation in Nigerians. This has never happened before. Even if it has happened before, it is getting worse. If food are being hijacked on the highway, in no distant time, even people that sell provisions in their stores, people on broad daylight will burgle the stores and then tend to survive. This is now survival of the fittest. These people are not looting it because they are intentional about it, but because they are.
All right, Honorable, sorry we had to cut you short there, but because of time, we've got to move to our next conversation. But thank you so much, Honorable Solomon Danjuma, for coming on Politics Now.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, you're still watching Politics Now. We'll take a quick breather. When we come back, we'll go straight to the conversation regarding the Edo governorship election coming up later this year. Stay with us. All right, glad to have you back on Politics Now. We just finished a conversation with Honorable Solomon from the FCTA regarding government efforts to secure food in Nigeria. This time around, we want to change the conversation to Edo 2024. Let's give you a rundown quickly of some of our talking points. Number one, alleged impeachment plot against Shuaibu. We brought to you the news that he has been filed with a motion from the House of Assembly in the state for impeachment, and he's got 7 days to reply. Well, we'll also talk about Idahosa's letter to INEC, I'm APC candidate, and lingering post-party primary crisis. Well, joining us now on Politics is our comrade Bobby. Thank you so much for coming on Politics Now.
Thank you very much for having me once more.
The pleasure is always us. Thank you so much for giving us updates regarding what's going on in the state. Well, the plot to impeach the Deputy Governor of Edo State, retired Honorable Philip Shuaibu, which first surfaced last year but was dispelled, has resurfaced as it was gathered that the plan may be revealed this time around. Well, breaking news hit us today that the House has filed, a motion to impeach the Deputy Governor of the state. Can you just walk us through what's going on regarding this particular situation?
Okay, I feel what you're having, first of all, is post-election reactions from the primaries. Of course, in every political process that involves electioneering, there is bound to be those who the process will favor and those who will feel aggrieved as a result of their internal political differences that they have within the political parties as a result of their personal interests, first of all, then as a result of their entitlement mentality, some of which may be described as an overbloated sense of entitlement. And in the case of Right Honorable Comrade Philip Shaibu, I feel he is just somebody that is a political bull in the China shop. The political process that was organized by the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party was free, fair, credible, and transparent to the extent that it was televised across major broadcast media platforms in Nigeria. And even the print media people also wrote on their columns, and they assessed the process, which was in tandem with the Philippines Constitution. Now, the locus and the ground Shaibu is wanting to contest the political process which took place is on the fact that, first of all, he feels aggrieved that he should be turned to be the deputy governor of Edo State. And there is nobody that has monopoly of power the last time I checked. Even in the PDP constitution, you have to go through the National Working Committee.
All right. Meanwhile, the last has not been heard, comrade, regarding what's going on with the APC primaries, as aspirant Dennis Idahosa wrote to INEC not to receive any other name as a candidate of the party apart from him. I mean, the crisis is deepening. Can you just talk to us on what's going on there?
You know, the issue of Idahosa taking the APC or taking his case to court to question the emergence of Senator Monday Okpebholo as the authentic flag bearer of the APC. I feel and I think that it also breaks down to an internal party constitutional issue, just like that of the PDP. You will recall that before the initial primaries was, before the last just concluded APC primaries was carried out, when we had a controversial first-time primary the week before, the state returning officer of the APC, who works in tandem with the directives, guidelines, and provisions of the APC's constitution, came outside to say that anything pertaining the primaries of the APC should be carried out by the State Working Committee in tandem with the National Working Committee guidelines of the party. So, Dennis Idahosa feels aggrieved and he wants to seek redress. And he's also making a case, just like Shaibu is making a case. The party has come outside to say that this is their candidate in whom they are well pleased. For the likes of Dennis Idahosa and Right Honorable Comrade Shaibu feels that no, I want the primary. It is my turn. I should be the flag bearer of both the APC and the PDP, talking about Shaibu and Deku. So the legal process and the judiciary arm of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will be their political wisdom, their legal wisdom, and their administrative wisdom in terms of political and electioneering matters will be put to proper check and test this time around. They are free to seek redress in the court. They are citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They are bona fide members.
Now, let's talk about what is really going on in terms of the parties themselves. When we talk about the parties, we're talking about the NWC of both the PDP and the APC. How are they handling this division? Are there meetings going on with stakeholders in the state? Because this is a big problem for both the PDP and the APC. A house that is divided against itself cannot stand. What is going on?
On the issue of positive divisive tendencies in the respective political parties, let me first of all establish a fact that some of these aggrieved parties have come outside in the open to use their together body language to show to the general public that they wish to play a fair role if their interest is not adequately carried along by the political parties. But they forget the fact that they must go through a feel and I think that on the issue of causing division, of course, some of them want to cause a stir in the murky waters, but I feel that this is democracy. In democracy, the minority will always want to have their say, but the majority will always have their way, especially when the leadership of partisan politics is in favor of the majority of the political stakeholders in the respective political parties this time around, talking about the PDP and the APC. Yes, of course, some people will want to cause some shocker, internal political shocker in their respective political parties. The likes of Felicia will want to play the spoiler role. If I don't get this thing, I will see how I can work against be inside the party, work against the party to ensure that either the party does not get they don't have a candidate, or I will.
Comrade Bobby, can you talk to us? What is going on in the Labour Party and the NNPP? Given these divisions, they might as well be getting some favors from this crisis. What's happening?
Like I was trying to say earlier before you spoke about the parties like the Labour Party and the New Nigerian People's Party, NNPP. Now, the several political intrigues are beginning to play out in the political atmosphere of Edo State. Yes, the Labour Party's candidate, talking about Olumide Osaigbovo Akpata, is also one candidate that is trying to win the support of not just party faithfuls, but a critical state of the good people of Edo State, because there is one sentiment that they use to drive home their political message, which is the obedient sentiment. So also the New Nigerian People's Party, the flag bearer, Dr. Azeme Atena from Raqqa, has also come outside from a mountain of fire ministry, has also come outside to say that he is one of the best candidates that will be able to get victory from the votes of the good people of Edo State going into the electionary period. And these guys, they are relatively popular in their own little ways. But like what I've been able to gather so far from an analysis of the political system, from a careful, direct observation of what is going on in the streets, because as a comrade that represents the struggle, I've been able to weigh the options of these respective candidates from the common men in the streets out there. And the masses seem to be in tune with more of the PDP and the APC aspirants than these other two aspirants. Most predominant of them all that is making wave around the those things now, like the biggest movement made wave last year, is Dr. Ashwari Igodalo. So the likes of Labour Party, they are also planning to cause a political upset against these two major political parties in Edo State. Talking about the ruling party, the People's Democratic Party, whose candidate is Ashwari Igodalo, and the APC candidate, the APC party as well, which is the major opposition party in Edo State, whose candidate is Senator Monday Opemuli. Now, Azeme Atena is also trying to create another narrative that he can be a fourth force. Since the obedient movement is seen as a third force, generally, politically and politically, that he can also be a fourth force. That it seems that since the respective political parties, they are beginning to have internal issues and political differences, talking about the PDP, the APC, and Labour Party, because the Labour Party, the chairman is also having judiciary and financial issues at the national level with the state secretary. So they are feeling that some people are beginning to get tired of some of all these things. So that is why he feels that as a man of God, that he stands a better chance of becoming the next governor of Edo State. But we also have situations where some revered pastors and men of God, the likes of Chris Okotie, the likes of this man, Tude Bakari, they come out in the past to say that the God sent.
Comrade Bobby, you seem to be throwing a jab, at the likes of the Labour Party candidate and the NNPP. You don't think they have a chance in this election?
From my observation so far, I don't think that the Labour candidate and the NNPP candidate can be able to outweigh the political weight of the PDP candidate and that of the APC. There are two major parties contesting the Edo gubernatorial election. I can tell you for free, sir. There are two major political parties whose candidates are Asuerime Ighodalo from the PDP, then Senator Mode Okpebholo from the APC. The PDP still remains the ruling party in Edo State. The major political party that is an opposition to the PDP in Edo State is the APC. And these are the two most popular candidates in Edo State currently. If you sample opinion in the streets out there, on a scale of 1 to 10, 5 to 6 persons will tell you that they know Asuerime Ighodalo. Maybe 2 or 3 persons may tell you that they know Mode Okpebholo. Then 1 person will tell you that they know Olumide Akpata. I don't think that most persons are even aware that the other candidates from the NNPP, talking about Dr. Azeme Azena, is even contesting the gubernatorial seat in Edo State. So I feel and I think that the two major political parties that stand a chance to produce the next governor of Edo State are 1, the People's Democratic Party, 2, the APC. The other political party that is trying to gain ground currently is as a result of the obedient sentiment last year is the Labour Party. But I can tell you.
Well, Comrade, you seem to be pretty sure, but I want to say that you can't still be really sure, because when you look at the drama of what's happening in the APC and the PDP, it can actually disrupt their chances. Like I said earlier, a house that is divided against itself cannot stand. So you talk like you're pretty sure of what's going to happen, especially you're talking about Pastor Zena, that's the NNPP candidate. But what are your final thoughts on this before we call this a wrap on the show?
Agreements and disagreements are the political variables that oil any engine room of social engineering in any democratic party and in any democratic process. And the Nigerian socio-political system is no exception. Now, if you look at the history of the Nigerian political electioneering period, there are usually internal party crises before the major election. I stand to be corrected here. Now, on the second thought, Honorable Kasim Afegboa came outside to spew his own opinion. Whatever he said, they were all solely opinionated. And some of them are internally agreed because some of them are through the Oshomole group. Because it was greatly rumored around that Senator Adam Aliyu Oshomole was the one carrying Honorable Dennis Idahosa, whose controversies from the APC is beginning to rub off on the reputation of the party. Yes, I agree that in such political process, anything can happen. But are the other political parties more organized enough to cause an upset? I don't think so. The answer is no. Because these things will definitely be an internal party mechanism and a reconciliation committee from both parties that will allay years of party faithfuls and see how they can be able to resolve most of the lingering political issues affecting the political electioneering period from these parties. So I feel and I think that the decision-making body of the party, both parties have the board of trustees, and their duty according to the party constitution of both parties, talking about the PDP and the APC, is to advise and reconcile some differences that some aggrieved parties in the political process may want to register. So I feel it's a normal thing. Even in the Labour Party, they also have their internal political crisis, even up to the national level. And I can tell you that Mr. Abi has also been trying to resolve some of these issues so that they don't fall into the same political category that the PDP and the APC can be like. So these are mere political rhetoric that usually come up and occur during electioneering periods. But of course, these parties, they have leadership, they have stakeholders that will be able to resolve most of these issues. So I don't think that most of these conjectures that some of these political stakeholders like Afegua are appealing to the public will be able to affect majorly the outcome of the elections. The outcome of the elections will be determined by the votes of the people of Edo State. That is the whole essence of democracy.
All right, Comrade Bobby Egbosa Obayuwana, thank you so much for joining us on Politics Now. We will keep on monitoring what's going on in Edo State. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's always a beautiful Tuesday and it is a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And always a pleasure to have you with us. We'll see you another time. Well, our time is up. We've got to go. Everything that has a beginning must surely have an end. Our special thanks to our Honorable Solomon Danjuma, FCT Labour Party Presidential Campaign Coordinator. Thank you, sir, so much for coming on the show tonight. And that's our show. We've got to go. My name is Mono Balagbobo. Thank you for watching and see you on Friday, same time, right here on LN 24/7.